Saraswati, and Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, something has been on my mind. So I want to talk about that. We all heard of the Krishna's Brahmana friend who came. He was Krishna's childhood friend, Sudama. And they were very poor, he and his wife. And his wife said, Krishna's your friend from long from when you were go to him and ask him, and surely he'll take care of. He understands that our needs. And Sudama didn't really want to go. He said, I don't want to ask Krishna for anything. But his wife kept urging him. And so he thought to himself, well, I'll just, I'll play the game. I'll go along with my wife and I'll get to see Krishna. So he went like that. And now, Krishna was so happy to see him. I'll try and open the, I should have made notes, but where is that? Oh. And Krishna had so much appreciation for the Brahmana. Then we have another story. We have the story or the narration of, it's not a story, it's a fact, a transcendental reality, eternal reality of Krishna. His first queen, the first goddess of fortune, from which the other goddesses of fortune expand, that is Rukmini. Rukmini is the goddess of fortune, and she's Krishna's foremost queen in Dwarka. Of course, Krishna has 16,000 queens in Dwarka, 16,000 palaces in Dwarka, and Krishna has 16,000 forms of himself in Dwarka. And he's at the same time simultaneously in each and every palace with each and every queen. And with each and every queen, Krishna's having 10 sons. Has 10 times 16,000. I think that's 160,000 sons. And Pradyumna and Aniruddha are noteworthy Krishna's sons. Aniruddha, he was killed on the battle of Kurukshetra. I think there were 6 Maharathis. They surrounded him. He was only 16 years old. And a Maharathi is someone who can fight, a Kshatriya who can fight with 1,000 opponents at once. And 6 Maharathis, Bhishma, Drona, Duryodhana, etc. They all surrounded him, And he was indignant. He said, just one of you, can't one of you face me like a real Kshatriya? Anyway, so yes, so when Rukmini, her older brother, Rukmi, he hated Krishna very much. He hated Krishna with a passion. It's amazing that we think that, okay, some people are spiritually inclined and others are not, and that's all right. But actually, it doesn't work that way. There are always those who are trying to approach Krishna's lotus feet, and there are those who are resentful. After all, this is the material world. And everyone here in the material world is here because we were envious of Krishna. We were envious. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, Krishna says to Arjuna, Idang tu te goyatamang pravaksyami anasuyave. He says, I'm going to speak to you, jnana vijnana astikyam. So he says, I'm going to speak to you this highest knowledge. Raja Vidya Raja Goyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Raja Vidya is the king of knowledge, the king of education, the most secret of all secrets, Goyatamam. Jnana Vijnana. Okay. So Anasuyave means non-envious, because he says, because you're not envious of me. Krishna is not going to tell people who are envious of him. What does he tell this? What is this most confidential knowledge? This most confidential knowledge is Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mang Namaskuru. Just Mad Bhakto. Always think of me and be my devotee. Bow down to me, worship me. To be my devotee, that means give me your love. Krishna says, if you give me your love, this is the most confidential knowledge. Why is it the most? Because pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam, that it'll give you direct perception of yourself by realization that there's so many different kinds of yoga practices, but ultimately, Krishna explains that, what is that phrase? He says, I can't think of it at the moment, but except for I don't reveal myself to anyone except someone who loves me. So no matter what kind of yoga a person performs, they have to come to bhakti yoga. Krishna explains in the 6th chapter, I think it's in the last verse, yoginam, of all the yogis, api sarvisham, of all kinds of yogis, madgaten antaratmana. Madgaten, gati is the goal. And antaratmana means within the core of the heart. Antar means within. Atmana, antaratmana. Within the core of the heart, that yogi who makes me the goal of his life. How? Shraddhavan, with great faith, bhajate yomam, and worship and love, with great faith and love. that yogi who makes me the goal of his life within the core of his heart with great faith and love. Samayuktatamo mataha. Krishna says, in my opinion, he is the greatest yogi of all. So Krishna wants our love, but he's not going to tell us that. He's not going to say that to somebody who doesn't like him. Imagine in your own life that say you're working in some company or a corporation or something, and you have people working under you, and you can see some of these people, they really love and respect you. They know that you're fair. They know that you're loving. They know that you're going to help everyone and give them a chance to get ahead in the business. And they try very much to please you. You give them instruction and they try to please you. It's just like Srila Prabhupada said that when he was the manager of a chemical firm, in his after he got finished with university, he was a manager, and someone didn't want to cooperate with him. So he went to the owner of the firm and he said, I'm having difficulty with this person. I'm having difficulty with this person. He won't follow my instructions. It's my job to organize these people, but he won't. And immediately the man fired him. Immediately. It wasn't Srila Prabhupada's intention to have the man fired, but the owner immediately. So the idea is, if one is in such a position of being a manager of others, and those who are under you, you have two groups. You have the group who really respects and loves you and is grateful to you, and they'll try and do everything. They'll try and do everything they can to please you. And in reciprocation, you give them all your understanding of how they can get ahead in the business. But at the same time, there are some people who are under your supervision, but they have resentment. You may tolerate them, but you're not going to share your heart with them. You're not going to give them all confidential knowledge how they can get ahead. So Krishna is saying the same thing in this verse, that I only share this kind of knowledge with those who are not envious with me, with those who love me. So Krishna says, Idang tate goya tamang goya. I'm going to give you this most confidential knowledge about how to get ahead in this business called Krishna consciousness. Pravakshyami anasuyave, because I'm going to speak to you because you're not envious of me. I'm going to tell you this, that if you love me, I'm going to give you the highest knowledge. And what is that knowledge? That you'll have direct perception of yourself as pure spirit soul. And it's this knowledge, shushukam kartam avyayam, raja vidya, raja goyam, pavitramidam uttamam, pratyaksha bhagamam dharmyam, gives you direct perception of yourself by realization. Shushukam kartam avyayam, it's everlasting and joyfully performed. But will joyfully perform because in the spiritual world we have activities. In the spiritual world we have an eternal relationship with Krishna. Those people who are so soured by their experience of the material world. They like to think that their solution is to have no more individuality, no more feelings. Having, even as a young man, before I joined Krishna consciousness, I was thinking to myself, I'm so uncomfortable with my emotions, and so disappointed, so confused, so bewildered, so much feeling resentment that other people treating me this way, that way, so envious, everything. And I thought to myself, it's true. I thought to myself, the solution is to have no more feelings and just close my heart. And that's the impersonalist. That's the Mayavadi. That's the Buddhist. They want to have no more feelings. But the idea is not to have no more feelings. The idea is to have real feelings. But we're trying to be happy by enjoying the material energy, which cannot reciprocate with us. And Krishna creates the material world to be a source of dissatisfaction, a source of heartbreak to everyone. This is the way the material world is designed. So Krishna, because we're, instead of being devoted to Krishna, we're being devoted to our senses, gross and subtle. Subtle sense is the mind. Not only gross sense gratification, tongue, belly, genital, etc., sense of touch, sense of hearing, sense of smell, but the subtle sense is the sense of my social position, how much I'm honored by others, how much I'm admired by others. Uh, just like some people, they want to be guru because they want to be thought of as great devotees. Some of them write books about themselves, glorifying themselves and their childhood and their march, their spiritual life, and all the great people that they have met, and they just want to glorify themselves. Anyway, so we want to talk about something that's something that's taken me a very long time to understand. There's something that opens the door to Krishna consciousness. You see, Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna consciousness is not a mechanical process. Like we have a checklist of things that we have to do and a checklist of things that we're not supposed to do. And that if we do all these things perfectly, Srila Prabhupada refers to it in one lecture as the formula. He says, following the formula. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada can be sardonic, sarcastic, that he's belittling, he's not appreciating our approach. He says, this is niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means keeping all the rules and regulations without remembering or understanding or focusing on what it's all about. What is it all about? It's all about having devotional feelings, having loving feelings for Krishna and our spiritual master, especially our spiritual master first, because it's only by the blessings of our spiritual master. It's only by the blessings of Krishna's confidential. It's like that we can know Krishna. he can introduce us to Krishna. Someone who doesn't have a personal relationship with Krishna may wear a badge that he's a guru, but he cannot introduce you to Krishna because he doesn't have a relationship with Krishna himself. This is said in modern day jargon. This is called a scam. This is a scam that someone is posing that he can, as guru, that he can introduce us to Krishna, but he has no connection with Krishna. This is a scam. So, we want to report scams to the police if we can. Well, there are police in Krishna's army, in Krishna's servants. Yeah, they're called there's the Vishnu Dutas, and they're the representatives of Yamaraj. they will deal with these scam artists. But anyways, so getting back to, so Krishna wants our love, and he only tries to encourage those who are not envious of him. There are so many that are envious of him. They actually, you know how envious they are? They try to remove Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna comes and speaks Bhagavad Gita and says, I'm going to tell you that you should love me. And what do? They try to say, no, you don't have to love Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita is not about loving Krishna. That's only an allegory. That Krishna, there's no battle of Kurukshetra. That's only a metaphor. It's not to Krishna. Krishna says, you bow down to me. Always think of me. Manmana. Always think of me. Use your mind in that way. Manmana. Bhava mad bhakto. Be my devotee. Be devoted to me. Love me. Madhyaji, worship me. Magnamaskaru, bow down to me. And these Mayavadi philosophers, they say, no, it's not to Krishna that you have to bow down. It's the unborn inside the material body of Krishna. They say Krishna has a material body because they say God has no form. When God comes to this world, because he's bored, he thinks God is bored, so he needs to have pastimes in the material world. He has to come down and take on a material form because there's no relationship in the spiritual world. So he says, so it's the unborn within Krishna that is also unborn in you. And you have to worship that. Worship yourself because you are God. In other words, they're trying to push everyone away from the worship of Krishna. That's what Krishna means when he says, I'm speaking to you because you're not envious of me. These people are all envious of God, envious of Krishna. So we were talking again, what is this great secret? I've been a devotee since 1968. Not really. I'm still not a devotee, but I want to be a devotee. I'm working on it. I'm trying to cultivate this Krishna consciousness. But I'm a neophyte devotee. I'm a conditioned soul. I still identify with this body as myself. People talk about senior devotees. I haven't met any senior devotees except besides Srila Prabhupada. So we're all just in kindergarten, and that's all right. but at least we're on the right path. So what is this? Although I've been trying to cultivating this little by little for so many years, it's only in the last couple of years. What is that? 90? Yeah, over 50 years, half a century. And I'm still a neophyte, still identifying with this body as me and this mind as me, thinking I'm a Caucasian and a male. Next month, I'm 80 years old, a Caucasian male, 80 years old, and etc. And these are my family relatives. All of this is an illusion. I'm not, I'm not white or black. I'm not young or old. I, I'm not man or woman. Well, I might be man or woman in my eternal spiritual identity. Srila Prabhupada explains that we all have. We don't acquire a new spiritual identity. We all have a spiritual identity, a spiritual form, a spiritual personality in relationship with God, and it only has to be uncovered. So, getting back to our subject now, what is this secret? What is this secret that opens the door and makes Krishna consciousness come to life? I'm looking at the clock because I always talk too long.
No, don't worry about time.
No,
Feel completely free.
some people, they can only listen so much. So, what is the secret? And I've started to understand this secret in the last few years. But Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple. We don't need to have a big brain. We don't have to be an intellectual, a great mind. No. We're not doing Ashtanga yoga, trying to analyze all the different components of the mind and body. I think by going deeply into meditation, neti, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. There are some 25 elements. And then finally, I'm spirit, and I'm not Aham Brahmasmi. Nobody can do that. Not today. Even Arjuna says, because Krishna tries to describe this process in Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna says, I can't, Arjuna says, I can't do this. Trying to control the mind like that is more difficult than to control the wind. It's not practical for a person like me. And Arjuna was such a great personality. He was the son of Lord Indra. Imagine. He was the direct son of Lord Indra. Lord Indra and Kunti Devi, she called Lord Indra with a mantra. Durvasa Muni had given her this mantra as a young girl that she could call any demigod by saying this mantra. And she was just a young girl, and she said, I'll experiment with this mantra, and she called Lord Indra. And Lord Indra appeared before her, and like that. So then Arjuna was born, the son of Lord Indra. Actually, Lord Indra called Arjuna for some time to come to Indralok. And he lived there for a while, and he did some fighting on behalf of the demigods. And he was such a beautiful person that one of the foremost dancing girl in the court of Lord Indra fell in love with him. And she went to his room. It's in the Mahabharata. In the middle of the night, she couldn't sleep. She wanted to have union with Arjuna. Arjuna said, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I think of you as my mother. Because they have such long life in the heavenly planets that I think it was Urvasi, but she was known to have had relationship with some of Arjuna's ancestors because they have such long life. So he said, I can't help it. I only think of it. She cursed him. She cursed Arjuna that, all right, you are going to be a eunuch from now on. So, no, it's true. So, so then Indra said, okay, it's only going to be for 1 year, for your final year, and you're in hiding. The Pandavas were in hiding for that last year of exile, and Arjuna played the role of a dancing teacher for the princess. He learned classical dance, Vedic dance in the heavenly planets, and he was playing the role of a dancing teacher for the last year to be in disguise. The Pandavas couldn't be recognized, or they would have to spend another 13 years in exile. So, anyways, getting back to our subject, what is it that opens the door to our Srila Prabhupada explained? Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple. And just a very simple person, even a child, can be a devotee. It's even easier for a child. It even says in the Bible that we have to be like childlike to approach God. Why is that? Because a child, he just accepts what is told to him by his parents. It's not a problem for him we accept so many things. Then when we become teenagers, we become rebellious and we start to question their authority, etc. But as a child, we never question. We always think that they know everything. So if we can be like a child, so Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple. And Srila Prabhupada says, one can actually be Krishna conscious in a second. It's not that people think this idea, niyamagraha, as Srila Prabhupada says, following the formula. He uses this word formula, meaning there's a whole collection of instructions and there's a whole collections of do's and don'ts. And that's the formula. He says, but you're missing the point. If the point is bhakti. He says, but that's called niyamagraha. He says it doesn't work that way. He says, but if you, he says still that if we engage with determination and vigor, vigorously, even niyamagraha, doing everything mechanically, it will alleviate anxiety because the holy name is so powerful, but will never uncover our dormant love for Krishna. So those who are thinking that if I engage in this way mechanically for enough years or enough time, with great determination, one day I'll receive a blessing. But it doesn't work that way. This is not the process of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness works by receiving the blessings of Krishna's representative, Mahabhagavata, the pure devotee. And it's actually a reciprocation of love. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada writes, and he quotes some Sanskrit verses in that purport, and he says, if a student has genuine love for the spiritual master, everything is revealed. Everything will be revealed if the student has genuine love for the spiritual master. It's a relationship. When he's moved by the condition of our heart, in our sincere desire to please him, he's receiving devotion on behalf of Krishna. He explains we can't approach Krishna directly. We're not ready to be in direct relationship with Krishna. But under the guidance of the spiritual master, it's an apprenticeship program, Srila Prabhupada says. We're learning what love is by association. So, getting back to our theme again, I keep getting sidetracked. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is only a matter of understanding and accepting. I like to talk about this because most of us, we understand the philosophy. I'm not this body. I'm pure spirit soul. I'm Aham Brahmasmi. I'm spirit. I'm God. But I'm not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm part of Krishna. Krishna's part and parcel. I'm the same quality as Krishna. So I'm God, but I'm not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm pure spiritual energy. Tiny, just like in our body, we have trillions of cells. So there are unlimited, infinite number of spirit souls, and they're all part and parcel of Krishna. They're all Krishna, but they're not the Supreme Krishna. We're the servant of Krishna. It's something to contemplate. It's really something to think about, that I'm really part of God. That's my real identity. And the constitutional relationship of the part to the whole. Every cell in the body is trying to serve the whole body. Every limb in the body, like the finger is feeding the belly, his finger becomes nourished. When our love goes to Krishna, we become fulfilled. It's called the nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's not simply the name of a book. It's describing what happens when we engage devotionally in relation to our spiritual master, who's receiving our devotional effort on behalf of Krishna. We taste simultaneously in the moment. As much as there's devotion, a devotional feeling, As much as there's a loving feeling, there's the nectar of devotion. The reciprocation is instant. It's part of, it can't be separated from feeling devotional, feeling the sweetness of being devotional is part of feeling devotional. You can't separate the two. That's what makes a person steady in devotional life, when they start to experience the sweetness of being devotional, the nectar of devotion. so, and this week, Srila Prabhupada says we can have this in a second. And this is simple for the simple. It's only a matter of understanding and accepting. So if we approach a room full of 100 devotees, 200 devotees, 400, 1,000 devotees, and say, all those who, you've all read Bhagavad Gita, all those who accept, raise your hand. And they will all raise their hand. But they're talking about the philosophy. You see, there are two things, like Srila Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are two kinds of gurus. There's one gives objective instruction, that's philosophy. And the other gives subjective instruction. He said the one who gives subjective instruction is the one who always has Krishna in the core of his heart with great love. And he's sharing his heart with you, with us, that we can imbibe the taste. By personal association, one can imbibe the taste of their devotion. Srila Prabhupada says we become infected. You catch it, just like a disease. That's exactly Srila Prabhupada's words in Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse. That you become infected with his feelings of devotion by intimate association. Or as Srila Prabhupada says in 10th canto, he says that initiation is the establishment of a heart-to-heart relationship. Balaram Prabhu, are we still connected? Hello. Are we still connected? Okay, I'll keep going. So, what is this secret? I want to know first if I'm still connected to the Balaram Prabhu. Ah, I felt that we were disconnected. We're okay?
Yeah, we're back on now. That was correct. I lost the internet for 2 minutes, so I just moved location, and hopefully it won't happen again.
I was feeling great separation. So
Me too. Just as we came to the climax,
what was
it
I
got
talking?
cut.
What was I talking about when we split?
You were saying about how by having an intimate
Yes, that's
relationship
right.
with the spiritual master, you
Yes, this is the
imbibe his
process.
faith.
But how do we get to have this relationship? That's what what I want to explain. How do we, it says like that we can't have a personal relationship with Krishna because we're not qualified, but we're in rehab. We're in an insane asylum called the material world for disoriented spirit souls who are wanting to be Krishna. You go to an insane asylum and somebody says that, oh, I'm Alexander the Great. And you go to an insane asylum and someone says, I'm Napoleon. There's all kind in this world. Oh, so we have people who say things. I'm Donald Trump. Or they think they're very great, very important. So we're all crazy because we're all tiny and of no significance whatsoever, wearing a temporary costume that they call this body and this mind. So we are, but so Krishna said, so we're it's like being in an institution for the insane. That's the material world. This is for the spiritually insane. Those who want to be God, who want to be so great. It's amazing to understand that all of us, we're like that. Oh, sometimes the devotees, they talk about the karmis, the dirty karmis, they say. They have no regard for the non-devotees. Even they think they can exploit them, etc., etc. But we're not different from them. We're just beginning to come to our senses. We're responding to the therapy that we've suffered so much, birth after birth, in this hypnosis. It's hypnotherapy. We're identifying with the material world as if it's a reality. But it's like a dream, but the dream is gross. It's not subtle. The dream is gross, but it's a dream. It has a beginning and an end. We have a lifetime, and then we grow old and diseased. We lose our family. We lose our social position. We lose our health. We lose our wealth. We lose everything, and then we die. We have to leave the body. That dream is over, and we go through it again and again and again with so much heartache, so many wars, so many volcanoes, so many earthquakes swallow us up, so many volcanoes cover us with molten lava, so many wars we get torn to pieces, so many diseases, so many tidal waves drowning our village. It just goes on and on. And so many wives or so many husbands cheat on us, and so many people try to take everything we have, and we're all in competition with each other. So it's designed by Krishna to break our heart. And those of us who are responding, they're so robust in their desire to be Krishna that even though they're suffering like that, still they want nothing to do with God. So Krishna says, okay, stay here another couple of million births, whatever. Enjoy yourself. And like I'd said, when I used to work at Wells Fargo Bank, they said there was a thing on the bulletin board, are we having fun yet? There was a sign. They say, oh, you think you're going to have a good job and make a great living and have all the things you want. Are you having fun? So Krishna is watching us. He's in our heart. And he's asking us, are you having fun yet? So, and those who are just responding to all of this illusory misery, this bad dream, and are ready to hear the truth, Krishna understands their heart. He enables them to recognize a real spiritual master. And the spiritual master teaches us, he gives us objective instruction, philosophy, and he gives us subjective instruction that he shares. It's an apprenticeship program in which we work very much under his guidance, in his association, under his direction, always executing our devotional activities in the association of a pure devotee, so that we get his mood. We become infected with his devotion, love for Krishna. And when he feels that we really get the spirit, stage by stage by stage, then he opens the door and introduces us to Krishna while we're still in this body. That's amazing, but that's the process. But of course, we're just neophytes. We're at the beginning, but we're on the path. And Krishna promises that if we don't finish, he will immediately make us become attracted again in our next life. It'll be automatic, because he's on our side. He's cheering for us. He's just waiting for us. So that means we have to have an intimate relationship with our spiritual master in this process, not to do niyamagraha, not to do it mechanically, because it doesn't work mechanically. Srila Prabhupada says there will be mechanically, he says there will be, quote, a mitigation of the unwanted superfluous miseries of material existence. That's if we do it mechanically. Our anxieties will go away, etc. We'll feel relief. But he says, but it will not invoke, it will not awaken our dormant feelings of love for Krishna. So the only way is that we have to have the blessings of Krishna's pure devotee representative, Krishna's confidential servant, who is here. He enters the insane asylum. He's the transcendental therapist, the transcendental psychologist. He's going to teach us if we are open. But it's such an intimate kind of teaching. It's a subjective teaching, not objective. Objective means concept. Subjective means feeling. So subjective instruction means he's instructing us by sharing his heart with us so that we can understand his heart. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. But this is in the first canto. It's not for, it's really in that purport in the 5th chapter of the first, Srila Prabhupada says the neophyte. The neophyte imbibes the taste of pure devotion. And this, he says, what does it mean to become infected with the qualities, devotional qualities of the pure devotee? He says the neophyte imbibes the taste of devotion in the association of a pure devotee. That's why I said that even a moment's association with a pure devotee can save a person from the cycle of birth and death. Why? Because if one can really just imbibe that taste, they can cultivate that but it's not material, it's spiritual. The more one cultivates it, the more it expands. Therefore, there's so many stages on the way to becoming a pure devotee again. So the secret of associating with the pure devotee in order to feel his presence, just like in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, it's written in the 18th chapter. The process is that the pure devotee, this bona fide spiritual master, he chants the mantra. And if the disciple chants with equal feeling, that becomes the worship of the holy name. In Harinam, Sri Harinam Chintamani, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that Haridas Thakur is speaking. He says that when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he should be meditating on his spiritual master, because he's sharing his devotional feeling with us. That's the process of engaging in Krishna consciousness in the association of a pure devotee. This is our philosophy. They say he lives forever by his divine instruction, and the follower lives with him. They say, but I'm following all the instructions, that's enough. But this is also one of the instructions. Why are you only following, following the instructions that you want to follow? Why not follow one can be following a whole formula of instructions, and that's called niyamagraha. The most confidential instructions is that we are become the what is it called? Apprentice. Enter the apprenticeship program. That's an instruction, divine instruction. He lives forever by his divine instruction. Srila Prabhupada says it's an apprenticeship program, not a reader's manual, not a user's manual for how to go about using this equipment. It's an apprenticeship program. It's personal. That's also his instruction. So yes, he lives forever by his divine instruction, but we have to accept the real instruction, the whole instruction, not just the mechanical part. So so we have to. Okay, so what makes it work? Now I'm going to drop a bomb. This is my experience, my own little experience that I cultivate every day. I'm forgetful, I'm distracted, but I come back to this because I need this, I want this, I can't live without it. So I keep returning to it. So Srila Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple. Are we still connected, Balaram?
Yes.
Okay.
I just cut off the video because the internet is not so strong.
I see. I understand. I miss your company. So he says, no, it's true. It's nice to be talking to somebody. So it's simple for the simple. One can be Krishna conscious in a second. It's only a matter of understanding and accepting. So like we say, we have 1,000 devotees in a room, and we say everyone who's accepting this philosophy, everyone who's accepting Krishna consciousness as is presented, raise your hand. They'll all say, I accept. But I'd say, what is the real measure of acceptance? The real measure of acceptance, Srila Rupa Goswami says the first thing we have to have is enthusiasm. And enthusiasm and faith, where he doesn't, Srila Prabhupada translates in that verse in Nectar of Instruction. confidence. But if we read the purport, it's not confidence in ourselves, it's confidence that our devotion will be noted, that it'll be received, that it'll be appreciated, that our hearts will be understood, that we're trying to be devotees. That's confidence, that we're not just doing it, but it's being received and appreciated. So we have to be very enthusiastic. Hey, Krishna says, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. Das Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Na Sochati Na Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. So the first line is saying that when one becomes joyful in the heart, and the last line is Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. That means now you can achieve my devotional service, Mad Bhakti. You can become a devotee when you're joyful. We can become devotees when we're joyful. And we can become devotees when utsahan, when we're enthusiastic. Joyful enthusiasm. Joyful enthusiasm is the secret that opens the door to the ability to sense that Srila Prabhupada is omnipresent and that we can have a relationship with him. When we approach Srila Prabhupada with joyful enthusiasm, Mad Bhaktim Labhate, now we can have a sense of reciprocation with him. Krishna is explaining that when one becomes joyful, they can be loving. Prasanatma leads to Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. When we are joyful, we can be loving. This is the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one automatically, what are the symptoms of the mode of goodness? Srila Prabhupada says, again, that the four regulative principles are the preliminary qualifications for entering the mode of goodness. It's written in Krishna book. That's all. They're preliminary, just to become a human being. No illicit sex, no intoxication, no eating animals, fish, eggs. Disgusting. But people are attached in that way. They think it's a great austerity not to put it. What is a dead animal? What is a slice of meat in the supermarket? It's a corpse. People like to eat corpses, and they think it's a great austerity. I have to give up eating a corpse. But so these are the preliminary qualifications for entering goodness. But what is goodness? It's a condition of the heart. The mode of goodness is the condition of the heart. Just like Krishna says, give up being fruitive, attached to the outcome of your activities. But who can do that? Only one who can do that is someone who's already satisfied. In the Krishna book, Krishna glorifies the qualities of the Brahman, that they're self-satisfied. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mana Prasada. What is that? Satisfaction of the mind, translated by Srila Prabhupada in the verse as serenity, to be serene. To be serene. Krishna says, not that this is a byproduct of devotion. He says this is the mode of goodness. In 1717, he says this is the austerity of the mind in the mode of goodness. He says, you do this for me, Krishna says. He says, if you do this, you read 1717, he says, one who practiced this inner serenity of the mind, this serenity of the heart, with the desire to please the Supreme by doing this. This is the austerity of the mind in the mode of goodness, just to feel inner peace. A person who feels inner peace, his mind is controlled because he's satisfied. Mana prasada, satisfaction of the mind. It's the mind that's not satisfied is looking in the future and in the past. He's grumbling about the past and saying, well, if it was only different, then I'd be happy today. And he's thinking, looking at his to-do list and his object and his things he wants to achieve in life, thinking, well, if I only get this, then I'll be satisfied. People are looking in the past and looking in the future. Even looking in the future, I'm going to go to the store and have this nice meal, or what, even a short range, but always looking in the past, always in the past and the future, never in the present. And Krishna says, when you become joyful in your heart, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Prasanatma means joyful in the heart. Nasochati nakangshati. What does it mean? No more looking in the future, hankering. Nakangshati, no more lamentation, no more living in the past. As soon as one becomes joyful within, they can live in the present moment. And Krishna says, when you learn to live in the present moment, madbhak nasochati nakangshati, madbhaktim labhate param, now you can be a devotee. When we're living in the but you can't live in the present moment unless we're feeling satisfaction within our heart. The first quality of the Brahman is sama. Samodama tapa socham tapa, austerity. How come a Brahmin can be austere? Because he's satisfied. He's serene within his heart. His mind is not looking in the future and the past to change so many things as so that he'll feel, now I can be satisfied. Looking in the future, and the spiritual life exists in the present only. The future and the past is a material estimation of reality. There is no satisfaction in the future and the past. Satisfaction is an inside job. So Krishna says, if you can live and you become joyful by practicing satisfaction, by living in the mode of goodness. This is explained in 1851 to 53. All the different things one has to do to bring the Brahma Bhuta platform into focus. Giving up anger, being satisfied, blah, blah, on and on and on. All these things, controlling the mind. Living, actually, he's saying, in a trance. If you look in the word for word, in a trance of inner peace. If you look at the one word for word in verses 51 to 53, living in that enables one to be a Brahmana because his mind is satisfied. He's feeling an inner satisfaction. He's not artificially saying, oh, I'll be austere. I'm going to pretend I'm satisfied. No, he's feeling satisfied. Therefore, his mind is not searching, going, and then, and he automatically becomes joyful. And when he becomes internally satisfied and joyful, then his hankering and lamentation goes away. He doesn't have to try to control himself. He's self-controlled. This is the quality of the Brahmin. A Brahmin can become a Vaishnava because a person who's hankering and lamenting cannot love. But a person who's joyful can love. I'm not saying that. Krishna says, when you become joyful, Mad Bhakti, you can love me. As soon as we're happy, we want to share that with somebody. Under proper guidance, we understand that the real person to share our happiness with is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. As soon as we become happy, joyful, we can love. It's automatic. We don't know how do we find? Love is only wanting to share happiness. Taking pleasure in the happiness of others. Taking pleasure in the happiness of Krishna is the meaning of bhakti. That's all that bhakti is. Enjoying Krishna's happiness. Enjoying Srila Prabhupada's happiness. That's what bhakti is. As soon as we become, therefore Srila Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna and what? Be happy. Because without being happy, without being joyful, we can't want to have something to share. We can't want to share. Sharing happiness is the meaning of love. So joyful utsahan, enthusiasm, and joyfulness in the heart. Joyful enthusiasm is the measure of acceptance. Sri Krishna consciousness is only a matter of understanding and accepting, quote unquote. Krishna consciousness is only a matter of understanding and accepting. The measure of acceptance. Joyful enthusiasm is full acceptance. That's acceptance. Not that I like this philosophy. Acceptance, real acceptance is acceptance in the heart. It's joyful enthusiasm. And as soon as, because Krishna says, Srila Rupa Goswami says we have to become, yes, the faith has to be there in the concept, that's objective instruction, but we have to be enthusiastic, and and Krishna says when you have to be joyful, then you can love me. Joyful enthusiasm. As soon as and it's not artificial, going through life, just like you have a car, it has cruise control. You can set the speed at any level you want. So how we cruise through life, we set our hearts and the different modes. We cultivate whatever mode we want. We have to cultivate the Brahminical mode in order to become a devotee. A Vaishnava, a Brahmin can become a Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada says it again and again, because the Brahmin has this inner satisfaction and joy in the heart. This is Brahminical. This is the mode of goodness. And such a person can become a devotee because a person in passion and ignorance, his mind is searching. He's not searching for Krishna's lotus feet. He's searching for something in the future that he can't touch, and something in the past that he can never change. He can't be searching. We can't be searching for Krishna's lotus feet when our mind is furtively and living it in the future and the past, which means passion and ignorance. It makes it impossible. We're living in the illusion and chasing it like the donkey who has a stick over his head and he's chasing the carrot hanging from the stick, thinking at the next step, I'll get it, I'll be satisfied. He's looking for something he can never have, never accomplish. He can't be devotional. That's why we have to be able to live in goodness, where their satisfaction is a feeling, a mood of self-satisfaction. I'm satisfied. Enjoy. We enjoy a feeling of self-satisfaction. The first quality of the Brahmin, inner peace, 1842. The first quality of the Brahmin, inner peace. The austerity of the mind in the mode of goodness, mana prasada, serenity of the heart. The first quality that Krishna says before we can become a devotee, prasanatma, joyfulness within. Mad bhaktim labhate. Now you can become my devotee. Why? Because nasochati nakangshati. Because when you're joyful within your heart, your mind will not be chasing into the illusory future and living in the illusory past. We have to come to this mode. Now, as soon as we have joyful enthusiasm in our heart, the moment we adopt, it's a choice. The moment, it's not easy at the beginning because we're so addicted to living in the future and the past. So happiness in the mode of goodness is described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita as poison in the beginning and nectar in the end. It's hard. It's just like a person who has an addiction. They go cold turkey. It means that they stop taking drugs completely, and they suffer terribly because their whole physical body is addicted to the drug. But if they go through that and stop chasing the things that are bad for them, then they become happy. So happiness in the so it's a little bit difficult to cultivate, but we have to. So when we cultivate the mode of goodness, we become joyful. We stop living nasochati nakangshati. We stop living in the future and in the past, and we can have devotional feelings, loving feelings. A joyful person can share his joyful feeling. A person who's furtively looking for things in the future and the past, he can't love anybody. Not only he can't love anybody, he's frustrated, he's angry. He's impatient because he's reaching for something he can't have, and he's always on edge. It's not possible to be devotional when we're like that. We have to be free of that. Nasochati nakangshati. So as soon as everything I've said today just leads up to one sentence. The moment we approach Srila Prabhupada with a heart filled with joyful enthusiasm, we can feel his presence. The moment we approach Srila Prabhupada with the feeling of joyful enthusiasm in our heart, we can feel his presence. When we feel his presence, he shares his love with us. We can feel it. And then we engage in Krishna consciousness in his association with the mood that we're getting from him. That's how we imbibe the taste of his devotion. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. This is not mechanical cultivation. We can do that for 100 years or 100 births, but we'll have to come to the point of cultivating devotion under the direction, in the association of Krishna's pure devotee. Yeah, somebody's calling me my telephone. I'm not going to answer it. So, but I don't know how
It's 8
to,
o'clock in the morning.
I don't know how to turn it off, but okay. So okay, excuse me. So this is something to really, really think about, because we can, we won't. I'm not saying that immediately Srila Prabhupada will introduce us to Krishna face to face, but immediately, as soon as we have a sense of Srila Prabhupada's association, it feels so nice. It immediately, it's everything we've been looking for our whole life. That feeling of fulfillment, that feeling of satisfaction. Then we think, oh, just let me have this. Let me learn to. Doesn't Bhaktivinoda's prayer says, oh, he's talking to his spiritual master. You are always tasting the nectar of the holy name. You enjoy Krishna's association in full realization of the sound vibration of the holy name. When will I hold your feet until the end of time? When, oh when, will that day be mine? Why does a person pray like that? A person prays like that because they're beginning to understand that being in association of a pure devotee is such a wonderful experience. Then they begin to say, oh, but due to habit of millions of births, due to the fruitive nature, my looking in the future, looking in the past, for millions of births, it's so deeply ingrained in me that I always tend to get distracted. I always tend to be forgetful. So when will I be able to remember always to be in Srila Prabhupada's association? When will I hold your lotus feet until the end of time? When, oh, when will that day be mine? So, because it's so fulfilling, it's everything we want. And he, under his guidance, under his direction, in his association, tasting his devotion, imbibing the taste of his devotion, and in intimate association with him, imbibing his mood, engaging in Krishna conscious activities in his association, under his guidance, subjective instruction, learning what it feels like to be a devotee, engaging in that mood. that then he sees that we're willing to learn from him. Then he's pleased. When he sees that we're willing to be his apprentice and learn from him how to feel devotional, he becomes pleased. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. We sing every morning. Prema bhakti ahoite. From him this love of Krishna emanates. And when we can get a little bit of it, imbibe the taste, our ignorance will be destroyed because it satisfies us so much that we don't care about anything else, the past and the future. When he sees that we are his apprentices in the process of bhakti yoga, receiving his subjective instruction and applying that feeling in our sadhana, in our devotional activity, in his always engaging not in sadhana alone, but always under his guidance in his association. When he sees that we are opening our hearts, he is pleased, and when he's pleased, he blesses us with more understanding. That's amazing. It says so in 434. The spiritual master is by nature very kind. And when he sees that it's the desire of the devotee, I'm paraphrasing, of the disciple, to always be in a mood of service, he says the process of inquiry and the blessing of realization, this process, this reciprocation becomes perfect. That's how we grow in Krishna consciousness. That when the spiritual master sees that we're trying to learn from him and we're enjoying his association and hanging on to him, getting the taste of devotion in his association and engaging in Krishna consciousness with that feeling, he becomes pleased and he blesses us with more understanding. And so and with that more understanding, we use that understanding in his service. Everything. So this is this is the science of Krishna consciousness. In a nutshell, the essence of Krishna consciousness is our relationship with our spiritual master, who's a pure devotee, who's sharing Krishna consciousness with us. And if we engage under his guidance in his association. So in order to open the door to feeling his presence, we have to approach him with a heart that's filled with joyful enthusiasm. It's so simple. That's all that's required. We have to perform a great austerity to do this. And what is that great austerity? We have to give up being miserable about the past. That's part of our great austerity. And we have to give up being like that. He's trying to pull us out of the pit. Like he said, that donkey who's in the stool pit up to his neck. And the man's trying to pull him out with a rope. But he's digging in his feet because he thinks that he wants to. There's green grass on the side of the pit, and he thinks I'll have to give up this grass. So he said, We want to stay in the pit of material, stool pit of material consciousness, because we think there's something here for us to pursue. If we can give that, that's our austerity. To give up standing in the stool pit, taking the little pieces of grass, and to give up living in the past, give up on being a miserable person who's always feeling uh, 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 what is he feeling about the past? He's lamenting and he's feeling resentments. You have big austerity. Give up your resentments and give up. No, I love to feel resentment. Oh, it's so nice to be able to be hateful, isn't it? and we dwell on it. And every day we think of somebody that we resent, and you give up living in that and are being melancholy about if only this, if only that. Give up that and give up being in the stool pit thinking that, oh, I have to keep on looking for what's in front of me, what's in front of me. Uh, we resist. We want to stay in that stool. That's ours. And just be happy. We can't go further until we agree to live in the present moment with happiness in our heart, with joyful enthusiasm, approach our spiritual math. Okay, you can't do it 24 hours a day. That's all right. Do it for 1 minute. Do it for 30 seconds. And you'll feel Srila Prabhupada's presence. And you'll say, oh, wow, this is really wonderful. It's just the nature of things. It's just the way it works. It's the science of Krishna consciousness, that if we let go of our desires and lamentations and just agree to be joyful, a joyful enthusiasm means we accept that this is a reality. We can go to Krishna Loka. This is wonderful. We accept it, don't we? So accept it now fully and embrace it and say, yeah, I'm going. I want it. And approach Srila Prabhupada with joyful enthusiasm in the heart. And proportionately, immediately, in 1 second, simple for the simple. That's what it means. Srila Prabhupada, simple for the simple. One can do it in a second. It's only a matter of understanding and accepting. Acceptance means joyful and engage with joyful enthusiasm. If we do it, it's called a leap of faith. It means that a leap of faith means we don't have the experience, but we're accepting the whole thing fully and embracing it. And then the realization is there. It's not that when I become realized, then I'll be joyful and enthusiastic. It's not that when one day I have realization as a gift because of being a good boy for hundreds of years, that I'll be blessed with realization, then I'll be joyful and enthusiastic. It's that when I become joyful and enthusiastic, in 1 second, I'll have realization. That's that everyone, we have to make that experiment in order to know how simple it is. And then we'll be pounding our heads. Why do I let go? Why do I let go? It's always as soon as we come back and approach Srila Prabhupada's joyful enthusiasm, the door is open. Just like in the Bible, it says, knock and the door will be open to you. That's the door. The door, knocking means I really want to come in. Not, so I'm trying to share this in my own little way, and I'm trying to base it on our books. I'm not making something up. It's in it's in our books. I'm always looking for more and more. You read that. You read what Krishna says when the Rukmini's Brahmana comes to speak, to give Rukmini's message. Please come and kidnap me. How Krishna appreciates this quality of the Brahman. He says he glorifies. He gets off his throne and he puts Krishna on the Brahman on his golden throne. He massages the Brahman's feet. While the Brahman is sleeping on Krishna's bed. He worships the Brahman because the Brahman, he says, he worships them because they're self-satisfied. They've learned how to cultivate the feeling of inner satisfaction of the heart, which frees them from their hankering and their lamenting, and enables them to be joyful so that they can be devotional. Krishna worships that quality because he wants us to come home, and that's the only way we can come home. A Brahmana can become a Vaishnava. So I beg you to try and think about, contemplate what, it's so simple. It's such a simple thing to think, to contemplate being serene, even for a moment. There's nothing to think about past or future. Just feel good. Just feel beautiful. Just feel joyful within the heart. Feel bright. Feel light. And then think of Srila Prabhupada. Just do that as a contemplation. Then when you learn how to feel his presence, then you can chant Hare Krishna under his guidance for his pleasure. You can chant Hare Krishna in the association of a pure devotee that engage in Krishna conscious activity in the under the guidance, in the association of a pure devotee. First we learn to feel his association, then we can do all of our sadhana in his association. Getting the mood with which we should do it, doing it as a service to please him, and feeling his love in return. Then now we've got something. Now we want something. We're not doing something because we should. We're doing it because we want it, because we like it. And then we're on now. Then you come to the platform where all the other stuff, anartha and nivritti, we won't want anything else. Anartha and nivritti is not a question of determination. Anartha and nivritti is because the mind is controlled. It's controlled because it's already satisfied. You don't want. Okay. So the ball is in your court. Anyone can make this experiment. That's all I want to. That's all I'm capable. I can't talk about any higher stages of Krishna consciousness. I'm not in any higher stages of Krishna consciousness. I'm talking about the beginning. Initiation Diksha, Srila Prabhupada writes, is the establishment of a heart-to-heart relationship with the spiritual master. Diksha, the very beginning, is this establishment. So we have to initiate. We've been given their permission to initiate. He's accepted us. Now, what are we initiating? Not Niyamagraha. We're not mechanics. We're initiating a heart-to-heart relationship with our eternal guide and master. So let's go. Let's go. Let's do that. And you can't know it's real until you try it on for size. You go to a store and you try something on for size. Does it fit? You'll see it fits. It works. Even for a person like me, it works. That's why I want that's why I want to try to sell it. That's why I'm selling. Okay, Hare Krishna. Questions, comments?
You've covered everything. You don't leave a chance for any question.
I got a page of references here, and I was going to organize them into a talk, but I never got to it. But I have these basic ideas, understandings, and enough of it is in my head to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to write this all out, but it's something I want to do, But
if there's anything I can do to help with that,
yeah, if you find absolutely.
You can give me just like a couple of words or a sentence from the reference you're trying to find, and I'll find it. Then I can give you the full reference.
Well, I'm trying to find references that prove that Krishna is saying that we should be developing peace and a feeling of inner satisfaction of the heart in order to come to the mode of goodness. That this is, and that I'm trying to find references that make the point that this enables us to be devotional, and that we have to be. I'm trying to find references that say where Srila Prabhupada says, there's one place, and I haven't been able to find it again, where Srila Prabhupada says, in order to progress in Krishna consciousness, one must be joyful. Because joyful means that we really accept it, that it's real. When we accept that it's real, we're immediately in touch with Krishna. It's Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Brahma Samhita says that the criterion of whether we advance or not is all based on faith. Our realization is proportionate to our faith. That's another way of saying the same thing. That if we really believe it, we do it. and the realization is immediate. And if we're thinking, I'll do this, and maybe one day I'll have some realization, it's not going to happen. The realization is proportionate to our faith in the moment. But the thing is, so even if we have not the greatest faith, if we have enough to approach with some enthusiasm, we'll get some reciprocation, which will increase our faith. So we cultivate, it's called a cultivation. It grows, it expands, but it's waiting for us to start.
It reminds me that I knew one senior devotee, older devotee, and he said to me, and it made sense because I experienced the same thing. He said, I love hanging around new devotees. He said, the older devotees kind of become dead and kind of die off. You know, he saw that they're infused, but the newcomers, they're full of life and full of enthusiasm. And he was rubbing off or sucking their energy in that association. He said he preferred to associate with new people.
The old, the old people are dead because they don't understand the science of Krishna
Yeah.
consciousness. They don't know what I'm talking about. Their conviction is that if I, with grim determination, do everything I'm supposed to do, that one day the bolt of lightning will come from the sky and hit me. I won't say where, and, and and I'll have realization. Then I'll be joyful. It's backwards.
Yes. It's
That's
funny.
why. That's why they're dry.
Yeah.
That's why they haven't changed in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They're
Yeah.
still the same, and they've been doing it humdrum.
Yeah.
But anyone can do what we're talking about. I'm just trying to explain that what we have to do, and then it's up to us
Yeah.
to make that experiment. That's why Srila Prabhupada says in 434 of Gita, blind following. He don't want blind, but he wants us to check it out,
Mhm.
not lick the bottle from the outside of honey, lick the outside of the bottle. That's the mental part. Get in there and taste it. Have the taste, have the realization, and then say, no, this is wow, this I can approach God through through the bona fide spiritual master. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's so amazing. And I got to talk about it because I want it more in my own life. And if
Mm.
I can find another devotee to share that with, he's saving my life.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand.
Where two or more are gathered in my name, you know that quote. That's
Yeah.
why hearing and chanting, that's why they're always in associate. Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami. When they share it, they both enjoy it much more. It's
Yeah.
bigger,
Yeah.
stronger. So
Yeah.
I want to be with other devotees who want to do this together, and and from them, yeah, then it's a family affair. And yeah, yeah, these are
Yeah.
my real god brothers. They're
Yeah.
not. This is my real family.
Right.
I guess we're alone today, huh?
Yeah, on this we're alone, but usually on the YouTube video, in the first week or 10 days, you get about 80 people watching your
Yeah.
video.
So
Yeah. That's
can
thanks to Ramachandra Prabhu because his channel, I'm not sure how many members he's got, like thousands of members. So some people watch the video.
is there a way to put titles on these talks on the
Yeah, he
video?
does. He's doing that.
Well, I looked at the link you showed me to
Yeah.
get well. This talk should be called, I don't know, the key,
The secret.
the yeah, the secret to advancement, the secret to advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
I guess I can write him and ask him.
Yeah, you or I can also tell him if he can call this the secret to advancement.
Yeah, and Krishna consciousness. We have to use the word Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says when they would write articles for Bhakti Godhead magazine, he would say the value of their article is how many times they use the word Krishna.
That's it. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yes.
Okay, what do we do? 8 o'clock from 6
Yeah.
o'clock to 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Here it's 8:30 p.m. So darkness has come upon us.
Yeah,
Thank you
have
so much for your wonderful association again. Really full packed show. I love every second of it.
I'm just trying. I really want to share this understanding because I haven't heard it anywhere. I've
Yeah.
never, I live with devotees in ashram, in temples for some 10 years, and I've
Yeah.
never heard a class where this is
Fine.
being taught.
Yes. Me
So,
neither. Yeah.
but it sounds real, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you were talking, sorry, I'm going to give a mundane example and sorry to the listeners,
No,
but what came to my mind, and it seems really it worked. It makes sense because, like, if a girl came and approached me and she's got a checklist and she's as sour as anything, okay, if I do this to you, would you take me as your girl or bride or whatever? And I see that it's mechanical, and I see she's got a boring, long face. I'm not going to be interested at all. It's just closed door. But somebody else comes, doesn't have a checklist, let's say somewhat unintelligent, but she's really enthusiastic about me having a relationship with me or whatever. And that makes me feel it like brings out the spring in me. And it's like, okay, yeah, great. You feel like really break the rules. Yeah. Yeah.
someone else.
So yeah, there's Samagari Prabhu here listening also.
Oh,
So there is
Hare
3 of
Krishna.
us.
That's
Yeah,
great.
he came from Hungary. He came 2 days ago from Hungary.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful. That's
so we'll
wonderful.
be traveling together for the next
Just to
6 weeks.
sit quietly for a minute or two, take some deep breaths, relax the jaw, not clench, let a little smile in the eyes and on a faint smile on the lips, and breathe deeply and just let go of everything and feel peaceful inside. This is the demeanor with which we can approach our spiritual master, because we're on the same platform he is. Not as profoundly, but the heart becomes free to be open.
Mm.
It says in the Nectar of Devotion, associations like a mirror or a crystal stone that reflects whatever comes before it. If we associate with a pure devotee, our heart will reflect all his qualities. But Srila Prabhupada says underneath that, in the 12th chapter, but the mirror has to be clean in order to reflect. So that's clean means nothing else is going on except this feeling of sama, peacefulness, the quality of the Brahman. And then Mad Bhakti Lavate Param. Then one can be devotional. Okay. Is the science of Krishna consciousness. It's so beautiful. Hare Krishna. No,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much once again. And appreciate that. I hope the listeners can really appreciate what they're hearing. And like me, just listen to this video again, because there's so many jewels that are one sentence, one words, and they have such depths. That
You know what I wrote on this here? You know what I wrote on this page? I wrote
lots of.
connecting the dots.
Uh-huh.
We have all these little bits of information, but connecting them into some cohesive understanding that we can use, you know.
Definitely we can use what you said today and what you've been trying to teach us actually for months.
Well, no,
You've been
the more I try and talk about it, the more I'm getting it more of a
shape.
how do I present this? How do I, yeah,
Mm.
you know, but now I can't close the TV. I call it a TV. I can't
Screen.
close the computer on you,
Ah,
but you have to close the
I'll do
computer.
it. I'll do it. No problem. No problem. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate you. All glories to you, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I'll close the.
See you next week on Tuesday.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.